Hey guys, it's Tony here at Game Freak Blog again, just bringing you another video, and in today's video I want to talk all things Metal Gear Solid related. Now, the Metal Gear Solid series is one that's really close to my heart. I probably have to say that it's my joint top gaming series of all time, along with the Mass Effect series. It used to be my number one favourite series in the world, but Mass Effect, I just love it so much I can't put a piece of paper between the two. It's just such a hard decision. I remember playing the original game on the NES. I didn't play the MSX version, but I really loved the Metal Gear game on the NES. And when Metal Gear Solid came out on the PS1, I was absolutely overjoyed. I went out and bought the premium package on Japanese import when it very first came out. That was the big silver box version with the game, the soundtrack, t-shirt, art book and everything like that. I played through the Japanese version of the game probably about 8 times. I didn't have a clue as to the story, what was going on. I just needed to play the game so badly that I played through it 8 or so times. And when it got converted to the US market before it came out over here in England, when the import scene was absolutely rife, and America and Japan used to get games sometimes a year before we would in this country, I got the US version, and again I played through it, absolutely shed loads. I just absolutely loved the game. I just thought it was fantastic. And I remember when the very first previews for Metal Gear Solid 2 were shown at E3, that infamous kind of oil rig scene where you were holding people up, and they had the torch on the end of the gun, the lighting dynamic, and when you could see the melons being shot and all that kind of thing. The actual dynamics and particle physics of the game just blew me away. It just looked like nothing else at the time, and that for me was a real sign that the next gen had arrived. And to be honest, I'm one of these kind of fans. I know I'm going to get a little bit of stick for this, but I didn't really feel Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater all of that much. There are aspects of the game that I absolutely loved, and the kind of final third of the game is staggeringly good. But the whole kind of survival aspect in the game, even though some people really liked it, I didn't like it. It just kind of ever so slightly put me off the game. Now, there are some fantastic aspects to the game. I do admit the camouflage system was really good, but it just essentially kind of took me out of playing the game. It just seemed every 2 minutes you had to change your camouflage pattern to kind of blend in with the surroundings, which makes sense within the kind of aspect of the game, but it just kind of took me out of it. And the whole hunting and eating for food as well, I didn't really get on with that. The kind of dynamic where Snake's constantly hungry and his growling stomach would give his position away to the guards. I don't know. I mean, I really should go back and play it. I mean, it says something about Snake Eater that I've only been through and played it once, whereas with Metal Gear Solid on the PS1 throughout the Japanese and the US versions, I've played through that game at least 20 times. Metal Gear Solid 2 as well, I must have completed that about 5 or 6 times. But Snake Eater, I've only been through it the once. It just didn't really kind of attract me, and the playthrough of Snake Eater that I did, I think it took me pretty much a year to get through Snake Eater. I started it and it wasn't really attracting me at all, so I kind of put it back on the shelf, and I didn't come back to it until about 6 months later or something along those lines. Now, I know there is a love-hate relationship with the Metal Gear Solid series. It does divide people. Some people, such as me, just absolutely love the game and love the storyline and love everything to do with it, love the characters. And I do have to concede that the reason why I think a lot of people don't really like it is that it is a bit like an interactive movie. I mean, I'm just uploading here the opening sequence from Metal Gear Solid 4. And as you can see, there are certain parts in the game where you get control of Snake and you take 10 footsteps and then the next cutscene comes in, and I cannot blame people for not liking that dynamic. It just seems that Hideo Kojima the more games that he kind of makes, the more the kind of film auteur comes out in him, you know. And I'll be the first one to admit that Metal Gear Solid 4, I'd probably say, is more film than game. I mean, the aspects of the game, I think, are a lot better than what I didn't like about Metal Gear Solid 3. You can just see me flummoxing around here just trying to get this bloody gun equipped. It's been so long since I played this game I couldn't even remember, and I just realised that they patched it with trophy support, so I'm going to have another playthrough of the game. So again, I do know why it splits people, and some of the times I do wish that there was a lot more game in there. The bits that are in the Metal Gear Solid 4 are fantastic. I do love them, but you know, some of the cutscenes, which are almost as long as a film. I'm sure I remember one cutscene being nearly an hour long. It just goes, you know, you can sit down and have a cup of tea and make a Sunday roast while you're sitting down watching the game. So I do know why it's kind of divisive. I do know why it kind of splits people. But that being said, it is one of my favourite games of all time. I love the story. I don't really mind essentially not having the control taken away for me for it to explain the story, because I do like the whole kind of... I do like what Kojima's trying to do with it, trying to make some kind of commentary on war. And even though it's not kind of like a contemporary commentary of war, you can see that it's the way that war is kind of going, with lots more private military companies taking the part of the standing army, and it's very adult, really. I mean, I do find the storyline in the Metal Gear Solid games, even though it's batshit insane, I find it a lot more attractive than the storyline in the Call of Duty games, where you know, there's a huge world war between Russia and America, and no one's actually used a nuclear missile. I just don't kind of get it. Excuse me. And the whole kind of mythos and the story thread between the Metal Gear Solid games with the boss and the kind of genetic cloning and all that kind of thing. I do really like the thread. I think it's absolutely fantastic. So, I mean, I could make an hour-long video about the Metal Gear Solid games, good and bad, but that's not the reason why I'm making this video. I didn't actually watch it last night, but in case you didn't know, the Spike Video Game Awards happened yesterday. It was broadcast live on Spike TV, and it was broadcast live, I think, for the first time on Xbox Live. You could actually watch that. And it's just a big gaming ceremony where it's voted for the best game, which I have to congratulate Telltale Games. They won the game of the year for their Walking Dead game, which I think is quite well deserved. But the whole reason I'm making this video is that essentially the people from Konami, sorry, I'm fumbling here, were around, and there was another studio which is known as Moby Dick Studio, which are based in Stockholm, and there was all these people walking around with these t-shirts on, and they wondered what it was, and basically they showed this footage of a game which was called The Phantom Pain. I'm going to put the link to the video down in the description. Hopefully it's not going to be taken off by the time I put this video up, but I'm going to put the link in the description. This game called The Phantom Pain was basically showing a character on a hospital bed, and he was being treated by a doctor, and he looked down and he had a hook for an arm. It looked like he'd been in some kind of accident. He had his arm kind of chopped off and replaced with this prosthetic arm. And then this guy kind of comes running in and says, you know, we've got to get out of here. And what kind of happens then is that there's what looks like a military attack on this hospital, and you kind of follow this guy stumbling all the way through the level, trying to get out of the way and trying to dodge these soldiers. And the kind of rumour that's going around is that it's Metal Gear Solid 5. Now, I know that they called it The Phantom Pain, but if you just look at the game and you just look at the footage, it's just screaming Metal Gear Solid 5. The main character that you follow around in this hospital has, well, it's essentially Snake. He's got a mullet, he's got a beard, it just looks exactly like Snake. The way that the military people are depicted in the footage, they look like they could have been ripped straight from Metal Gear Solid 4. There are some strange characters. There's a scene about 3 minutes into the video where you see this guy standing in this Metal Gear-esque suit of armour in a flaming corridor. So to me, I'm gonna just say it's Metal Gear Solid 5. I mean, I know that they're coming out and saying that the game's called The Phantom Pain, and I know there are some suggestions going around that it's an odd way to kind of announce a Metal Gear Solid 5. You'd think that, you know, if they were going to bring out Metal Gear Solid 5, they'd just say, here's the new trailer for Metal Gear Solid 5, and it would gather more attention. But I kind of think the opposite for that. I think if they release a video which is quite ambiguous, which leads people to say, is this or isn't it Metal Gear Solid 5, it's going to be spread around the internet and spread around various forums and websites and by word of mouth a lot quicker than if they would have just said, here's the Metal Gear Solid 5 trailer. You know what you're getting there, but with this kind of footage where you're kind of like saying, is it, isn't it? The main character looks like Snake, but it's called The Phantom Pain. You know, it's just not sure, but I'm essentially going to say it's Metal Gear Solid 5. I can't see it being any other game. Why would you put a character in a game which has links to Konami, which looks so much like Snake, and then just come out and say, well, it's not actually Snake, and that whole trailer, it wasn't anything to do with the game really, we were just trying to throw you off the scent or something along those lines. I can't see it being anything else, to be honest. I mean, have a look at the video. You've probably watched it already, but have a look at the trailer in the video description. I might even pop it up just as a pop-up on the screen so you can click on it and it'll open it in a new window and you can go and look for yourself. But let me know what you think. Do you think it is Metal Gear Solid 5? If it is, why do you think that they've gone this route about it? Do you think that it is just a way of gathering word of mouth a lot quicker and a lot easier than just saying it's a Metal Gear Solid 5 trailer? I think that that is the case. I think that they're just trying to be kind of a little bit dodgy, a little bit shifty about it. I think the Metal Gear Solid fans out there are going to look at it and think it's got to be Metal Gear Solid 5. I think it's just a hint with the prosthetic arm that it might be some kind of new gameplay mechanic that Snake can actually attach different kind of things to this prosthetic arm, or he's going to get some new robotic synthetic type of arm that's going to give him a load of new powers or anything like that in the game. I don't know. I mean, it is very, very ambiguous, but upon watching the trailer this morning, my first reaction when the video ended was that's Metal Gear Solid 5. It can't be anything else at all. So have a look at the trailer and let me know what you think. Do you think it's a strange way of marketing it, or do you think, like me, that there is no way on earth that it can be anything else apart from a Metal Gear game? I hope that it is a new Metal Gear game. I'm not entirely sure whether it's going to be for this gen or whether it's going to be for next gen, with the rumoured Xbox console and the new PS3 console scheduled for release in November of next year. It could be an extremely fantastic introduction for a new console, but it also could be the last swan song of the current gen consoles, maybe a PS3 exclusive, I don't know. So guys, let me know what you think. Is it or isn't it Metal Gear Solid 5? Tony from Game Freak Blog, thanks for tuning in and watching the video, and I'll catch you in the next one.